Hey race fans, welcome to Backseat Drivers. I am Alex Weaver and I am joining you virtually. I'm actually caught down in the state of Florida. I couldn't make it back to Studio 3, but I have two friends who are super accommodating. One we've had on the backseat before. We have Alan Cavanna joining us again. And then next up we have our favorite fantasy guru, our favorite former crew chief, Steve Letarte. Welcome guys. Thanks for joining me here all virtually. It's kind of weird, but I appreciate it.
Hey, we make it work, right? It's a pandemic.
Yeah, pandemic. And I mean, listen, working from home, I'm not only used to it, I'm starting to really kind of like it. So it's fine.
Yeah, we like the business on top and, just the party basketball shorts on the bottom.
I won't be standing up. I won't be standing up for sure.
Exactly. Let's get right into Martinsville because we got 2 days worth of racing in the NASCAR Cup Series. And lately it's been Martin Truex Jr.'s playground over there in Martinsville. He has won, 4 out of the last 6 races there, something crazy stat like that. So this first segment we have is called left turn or right turn. Steve, you are new here. So this basically means you have to go one direction. You have to pick a side. So the first thing that I want to get into is we saw a lot of tempers flaring at Martinsville, which is pretty standard for a short track, but it seemed like Sunday was a little turned on edge. I'm particularly looking at the Graf and Gaulding situation and then Daniel Suarez and William Byron. So Steve, I'm starting with you here, guest honors. What did you make of all the tempers flaring at Martinsville?
So I love tempers. I love the heat and the intensity of a short track. But as a race fan, I'm excited to see it. But as a dad and a father of a kid who races, I hate to see the fighting. I'll be honest. I think the pushing and the shoving on the racetrack is okay. I don't like when I see cars torn up on purpose. And I think I'm okay with a water bottle getting thrown if you're Daniel Suarez. But I didn't like the fists. I think it's a hard conversation to have, right? These are the best race car drivers in the world. We expect them to not only put on great show for entertainment, but I do think they have some responsibility to kind of lead the young racers around the country. So it's an unpopular side that I'm going to stand on, but I'm an anti-fighting at the racetrack guy.
That's changed, I feel like, since we've had a kid now. You may have been a little more prone to fighting without the children.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Lots have changed since I'm raising teenagers now, and that's one of them.
Less sleep. All right, AC, what do you think about all of the fighting at Martinsville?
Yeah, I think Steve Letarte, the dad, has a much different view than Steve Letarte, say the crew chief, because look, if there are some incidents out there where you are just getting messed with and your team and your season, your points are on the line, you want to see your driver out there defending and getting in the face of the other driver who caused the incident. Look, and we won't know exactly what was said between Joe Graf Jr. and Greg Gaulding, but one says the other did something on the track. They confronted each other off the track. They start yelling at each other, saying something they don't like. It ends in fisticuffs. You have to have a reputation setter, right? You can't be messed with on the track. And at some point, you have to say, look, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. These are teams that are in the back half of the field sometimes that have to rely on these finishes for a good season. So if you're not out there defending your reputation, what are you out there for? So I don't mind it. And the Daniel Suarez throw, that's just great comedy. That was great reputation. There was no other chance for him, right, to get William Byron back, at least in that race. So what could he do? All he could do was throw the water bottle. He probably could have used it to put out the fire, though. That's all I'll give him.
All right, this next one is about the whole team, the whole organizations, because I feel like we're starting to see a little bit of panic in the NASCAR Cup Series garage. We have 8 races so far under our belt, 7 different winners in those 8 races. So playoff spots are not easy to come by this season in particular. So our team's starting to panic. And what do you think's going on in the minds of the crew chiefs? Let's start with our crew chief here, Steve.
Well, I think panic's real. You can make a lot of excuses to start the year. Well, you got the West Coast swing. Well, we had a road course early. Well, we have the dirt coming. There's a lot of reasons why you could say opportunity is just around the corner. But I think what happens over these off weekends, there's not just a little bit of rest, but it also gives all these guys a little bit of a chance to take a deep breath and pull up those points and really let the results settle in. And if your name isn't in the win column, I think you're starting to realize there are some big names not in the win column. What I mean by that is we have 7 different winners in 8 races, but there are some big names who have yet to win that I think everyone on this shoot would say they're going to win. So that kind of turns up the pressure. And Alan, you throw that with the schedule. You and I have had this conversation, right? Road courses aplenty. We got another short track at Richmond, Talladega coming up. You end the regular season at Daytona. I can assure you, from a guy that covers that race at Daytona, you want to be locked in solidly. And they all know that's coming. It's looming out there in the distance. So without a doubt, panics. the panic button is hit. It's getting pressed over and over and over again. So for sure, there's panic setting in.
Yeah, full on agreement here. I mean, it's just too far into the season, right? 8 races past the Easter break. If you were bad before the Easter break, all that time off to fix it, that's already gone. So if you weren't good in Martinsville, you're already thinking about Richmond. Steve, as you were saying about the schedule, 5 races left in the regular season are on road courses. If you are not good on road courses, you have to be thinking, where am I going to make up these points? Where am I going to get a win? Because if you are deep in a hole, pointing your way into the playoffs at this point, it's non-existent. History tells us it isn't. And how all of a sudden you're just going to improve, it's not going to happen. So you're thinking, do I have to make this desperate move? If I'm a crew chief, do you have to put all your resources into, say, one race, right? Some of these teams are on a budget, a per race budget. Do you put all your resources into one race and just hope for the best? Because the easiest way, right? Easiest way into the playoffs is a win. If you're in a points hole, you're not going to point your way into it. Where are you going to get that victory? That's the desperation going through teams right now.
Yeah, listen, the best thing that kills optimism, Alex, is reality. And now we've had 8 races of reality. So there's a lot of optimism burning in trash cans right now with only, a few, 10, 12 races left to figure this out.
Yeah, I think the reality is that there will be a lot of sleepless nights before Talladega with teams that are hoping that's their last chance bet into the playoffs. But one team that is not panicked is obviously the 19 with James Small and Martin Truex Jr. They are now double locked into the playoffs. They've won twice here in the 2021 season. So clear sailing for the 19. But the story I feel like of Sunday was how clean Martin Truex Jr. was able to make, especially the end of the race and going after that checkered flag. So, Alan, let's start with you. MTJ, cleanest racer in the garage right now.
I don't think that's fair. Look, I think when we say clean, that's another word maybe for boring or not exciting. And you cannot be successful at this level of racing and be a clean race car driver because you have to be ultra aggressive. These are the 40 best drivers in the world. Every one of them is aggressive. Sure, not every one of them is throwing punches or getting sound bites thrown at them like Joey Logano every week. But I assure you, Martin Truex Jr. is an aggressive race car driver. That's why he is successful. So if you are an aggressive race car driver, you're not a clean race car driver. You're just doing something right to maybe stay out of the headlines. That's what I'll give Martin Truex Jr. Clean race car driver? No way. He's too aggressive. He's too successful for me to say that. Yeah,
this is a compliment, so don't take it the wrong way. But yes, he's dirty, as he should be. When I was a crew chief, I wanted my driver out there doing whatever it took to win. The difference is Martin Truex Jr. is now what I call a veteran dirty race car driver, which means he takes the moves that you don't see. Sitting in the stands, you don't see the little nudge or go a little early on a restart or take a little bit of extra space on pit road. He's not inappropriate. He's as dirty as you need to be a professional race car driver and do what's right for his team and his organization. What he does a great job of, and Alan mentioned it, is he stays off the highlight reels for the wrong reasons. And that's really the key, because the more highlight reels you get on, your competitors see that as well. And when you wreck someone egregiously, that doesn't just, start a beef with a guy you wrecked. It actually starts a little bit of a beef with the whole field. They start to race you differently. What Truex does a nice job of is take what's needed, but not anymore. He's not a greedy race car driver, but he's dirty enough to now hold 2 trophies in 2021.
Well, I have a interesting stat that was just sent to me. So I'm going to make sure that I read it correctly. But in every year of the playoff elimination era, so 2014 and up, the first multi-time winner of the season has advanced to the championship 4. So the first multi-time winner of the 2021 season is Martin Truex Jr. So this one was not on the planning board. But Steve, does the trend continue? Is MTJ in the championship 4?
Playoff points, playoff points, playoff points. Wins equal playoff points. He's won twice. He's going to have 4 or 5 wins in the regular season. MTJ will go to Phoenix with a chance at the championship, no doubt.
Alan?
Absolutely. Look where he won, right? He won in Martinsville. That's a playoff track. He's won across different types of tracks. And with so many different winners, Steve mentioned it, the different playoff points. Not every driver is hitting all those points quite yet. Martin Truex Jr. out to a nice little buffer of a lead. So when he gets to the playoffs, it'll even grow and be even more exponential there for him. So Martin Truex Jr., I could see him in Phoenix, no problem.
All right, so this next segment is called Going the Wrong Way. It's essentially we give an award out every single week that we call our Going the Wrong Way award. It's kind of the award you don't want to get. This is not the Oscar you want to win. So we have right now for this week, Going the Wrong Way was basically the whole entire field. Martinsville, we know, is known for cautions. It breeds cautions. Cautions breed cautions, but the record is 21 we were pretty close on Sunday. So any arguments on the whole field? Alan, I'm starting with you.
Well, look, we talked about desperation earlier, right? The first two stages of that race, I mean, Ryan Blaney put it on him. It was almost a little boring, but then we get to stage 3, right? And then the desperation sets in. Things start changing. So look, these are the rules that the game that has to be played, right? When it comes to desperation time, I get it. I get why drivers are trying to do whatever they can. I get why they're trying to be ultra aggressive. Unfortunately, sometimes that leads to caution. Sometimes it leads to track blocking caution. Sometimes it leads to cars on fire. So look, these are the rules they have to play under. I understand why they're having to do stuff like this. It is Martinsville. There's not much room to move. So while I don't exactly love it because of all the cautions, I certainly understand it.
Listen, I was good with the race. I didn't think it was too broken up. It felt like a Martinsville race. I think the fans won. Keeps the field tight. I think Martinsville once again proves that everything you think you need in racing isn't needed. You don't need speed. You don't need horsepower. You don't need technology. You don't need all this stuff. Martinsville's my favorite track on the circuit because it's short track racing at its finest. It's where everyone starts. Everyone grows up at a short track. Everyone has a local track they can support. And I saw the fans, they went and supported Martinsville even the day after the original start time. And while it was caution-filled, I felt like there was still a little bit of a rhythm to the race. And not only does that caution-filled race kind of bunch up the field, but with the limitation on tires, it put a lot of pressure on the crew chiefs. Do you pit? Do you not pit? When do you pit? So while it's easy to give that award out and probably deserving, I don't want them to change a thing. That was a great Martinsville race in my mind.
This is a segment we like to call our drive-through segment because you have to go through the drive-through on any good backseat driver road trip to fuel up. So let's get a rapid-fire test for these two here in the backseat. The first one is Martinsville. Do you prefer it under the lights or in the day, Steve?
Day. I'm a tradition. The nights are fine. I think the racing's better in the day. The sun changes the track. So I know people may disagree. I'm a day guy.
Yeah,
Alan?
I'm disagreeing with you there only because I love the look of the lights. I love the short track scene of it, right? And Saturday night under the lights, that's the ultimate short track.
All right. Next one, I'm starting with you, Alan, on this one. Do you want grass on the turns, no grass on the turns, or asphalt or cement on the turns?
I want the grass on the turns only because that's Martinsville, right? I am a little bit of a traditionalist. Put it on there. And when they switched, it was like, no, not you, Martinsville. We didn't want you to remove the grass. We wanted every other track to remove the grass.
Grass, and I'll go one further. Let's go back to the 80s. Let's throw some flowers in there as well. Remember, they used to have the flowers on the inside. You know, the Masters was on TV. They have the azaleas. Let's throw the azaleas or some flowers on the inside of the corners. Let's make it look good. And guess what? If you get in them, it's your own fault. Stay on the racing surface.
All right, this last one, late state cautions. Let's start with our crew chief here. Do you pit or do you stay out when it comes to Martinsville?
Man, I wish it was that easy. Pick a race and each can win. I won one Martinsville staying out. I won one Martinsville coming in and getting tires. That's what makes this impossible to answer and what makes the crew chiefing job so tough. Who's behind you? How much tire fall off is there? And pretty much get out. I had it somewhere here, my magic 8-ball. Shake it up. See what it tells you to do because I like tires. Aggression normally wins. I'll take tires every time, but they don't work every time.
Alan, you're the crew chief. You pit in or you staying out?
Yes, I am an award-winning crew chief here. No, I say stay out every time. I want my driver on offense. I want my driver controlling the restart. And yesterday, I think paying off was staying out on the track really paid off for a lot of people, a lot of strategy. Stay out every time. Go ahead.
All right, this last little bit, we're going to turn the page because we have Richmond this weekend. It's no stoppage in the NASCAR Cup Series, and the race to the playoffs, I feel like it's just really getting started. So here on the backseat, we do have a fantasy league. I am not doing well. Steve, I know that you kill the NBC Sports Fantasy League every single week. How was the fantasy game this week?
Well, I'll be honest. I had a great game this week, but it's been a rough go this year. Dale Jr. is just out to a huge lead, like a 200-point lead. And it's a tough league. If you don't score 230, 240, you're losing ground. I think I was 240 this week, and my phone keeps buzzing because Mr. Earnhardt's reminding me that I still lost ground to him. So a good week, but not good enough.
Let's talk about the trend and the parity that we have seen so far in this season, because that's my fantasy question for you guys this week. We saw the first repeat winner of this season, which is hard to believe, 8 races in, and that's the first one we've seen. So in Richmond, let's look at that one specifically. Alan, do we see another repeat winner from the past winner so far this season, or is it a new winner come Sunday?
This is a great question because the list of winners and the list of non-winners is so balanced right now. I think we see a new winner Denny Hamlin has to get a checkered flag eventually, right? I mean, he was in position in Martinsville. He's the point leader, right? He's been in position nearly all season. This is Richmond. This is his home racetrack. It's Denny Hamlin time. So no more of these multiple winners. Denny Hamlin gets the checkered flag and locks himself, not that he wasn't, but puts himself in the playoff and gets us talking again about how many winners we can have this year.
Penske. I can't say it enough. Have all your Penske drivers in your lineup at Richmond. The only question if there's going to be a new winner is if Brad Keselowski can be the one that goes to victory lane, because if it's the 12 or the 22, it's a repeat winner. But a Penske Ford wins at Richmond. They're too good at the short tracks. I know they didn't get it done at Martinsville. You get a little bit bigger when it goes to Richmond. I'm heavy on Penske, but I do believe, I'm going to say new winner, but it's going to be the third of the three Penske drivers. Brad Keselowski is going to break through and join his teammates.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys joining me here. Hopefully soon we're back in Studio 3. It's my fault for this week. I know you guys were fully prepped to be there, but Steve, thanks for being here. Alan, as always, thank you for being here. We appreciate you guys and enjoy Richmond. It's coming up Sunday at 3 p.m. on Fox, and we'll see you right back here next week on another episode of Backseat Drivers.